We'll go onto the lines, get on Zoom, and talk to one of our friends who's a journalist based in South Africa. Works with SABC Sport, and Mpumi Manyisi be in name. Hello, Manyisi. We welcome you to Channel One TV.
Good evening, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
That's great. How are you? How is South Africa?
Excuse me, I missed that.
I'm saying, how is South Africa?
Right now, it's good. It's winter. It's cold, but all eyes are on Banyana currently.
Let's talk about them then. How has been so far with them?
It's been quite rocky. As you might have seen, some of the stories making headlines with regards to Banyana and their build up to the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. The fact that they had to boycott 2 training sessions because they wanted to highlight the fact that they needed their outstanding allowances for the April as well as their June camps. However, there's been a amicable agreement between the players as well as the governing body, which is the South African Football Association, that they will pay the ladies a portion of the money that is owed to them within 20 days, which now means they now back in training, back preparing for their Women's Africa Cup of Nations title defense. So other than that, things are looking good in camp, except the fact of the things that are happening in the background, obviously with regards to them pulling in a stay-in, which was a mini strike, and obviously with news breaking in yesterday that their main sponsor is also not looking to renew unless they come into not looking to renew the partnership with SAFA unless they come into common terms and agree in terms of the terms and conditions of the sponsorship. So right now, it might be rocky when it comes to the ladies' mental state, but I don't think we should question the amount of talent that we have in camp. We have a lot of key players that play for Banyana, and obviously they're coming in as African champions, and they do have that mentality of them being champions and wanting to retain the title. The only thing that they need to do is to rise above everything else that's happening behind the scenes.
Great, Mpumi. I want you to stay there for a second. Then I'll go on to Busisiwe Mokwena, who's also a South African journalist. Then I'll come back to you. Hello, Busisiwe. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's great. It's good to always have you here. You talk to us, Mpumi talks about the pressure in camp. Do you think that the coach is under immense pressure to get the girls to think right ahead of this tournament, looking at all the situations that surround the team?
Plenty. She does have plenty of pressure on her to make sure that the team does really well in this camp. I mean, Banyana had played in about 8 finals before they won the tournament in 2022. And it goes back to the team having to do well. But I think the expectations are a bit more on the team, especially with the things that Mpumi is mentioning, the sponsorship, which had been running since 2009, is, looking not to renew. And, that could have a huge impact on South African women's football in general, and not only just Banyana, because most of those players who are in that squad started to play women's football in the Sasso League, which is the sponsor of, well, the main sponsor rather of women's football in South Africa. They've been with in a relationship with SAFA since 2009. Other sponsors were there and they left. They are the longest standing corporate that has been backing women's football in South Africa. So I think with things like that, the players hoping to impress the sponsor and, you know, trying to get them to stay. You know, with supporting women's football, I think there's plenty of pressure. I mean, also Des was Coach Desri rather was awarded about 4 Coach of the Year, CAF Coach of the Year awards. That is a lot of pressure. Her winning those awards means she has to show why she got those awards. So there's plenty of pressure, not only just on the players, but also on Coach Des as well.
Okay, that's great. But then you also hold on there for me for a second, and I want to find out from Mpumi, you know, whether all of this situation surrounding the coach gives South Africans in general a bit of hope going into the WAFCON.
Is that question for me?
Yeah, Mpumi, that's your question.
I didn't get it fully. What's given South Africans
I'm saying,
hope?
the hope of the South Africans in general, because we know the team is a strong team in Africa when it comes to women's football. And with all of these situations you are analyzed, do you have hope as South Africans?
As South Africans, 100%, we can't afford to lose hope. That's because there are a lot of challenges surrounding women's football. The least we can do, I always say this, even before we point fingers at the governing body, which is the South African Football Association, we need to look at ourselves as individuals. What role are we playing to support women's football? Are we going to games? Are we buying tickets? Do we go and watch Banyana Banyana? Do we view Banyana Banyana games to sort of draw eyeballs as far as, you know, TV numbers are concerned as well, to make sure that everything that's surrounding the national team can be easily commercialized? That can happen if we truly support the national team as individuals, as South Africans. We do have hope. We have plenty of talent. When you look at the depth that the team has, no questions about the kind of talent that we have. A crop, the crop that we currently have, most of them, they play overseas. We've got players in Denmark, we've got players in Scotland, we've got a chunk of Banyana players playing in Mexico as well. So I do trust and believe that we can rely on individual brilliance and we can rely on experience, and we can rely on the potential that Banyana has, especially when it comes to how they always choose to switch up when it's big tournaments. We saw what they did in 2023 World Cup.
Absolutely.
You know, achieving that historic appearance in the last 16, right? We saw what they did in 2022. It was tough when they won the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. The build-up was also not easy.
That's
so
fantastic.
The things that are making headlines today, it's stuff that's really not new. We've seen that when they were busy build-up to these other big tournaments. So it's almost like history is repeating itself. And I trust and believe that once they get onto that pitch, they switch up. They know what's at stake. They know what is it that they need to do to make sure that they retain the title.
That's great.